Dear Simon, in the formidable few, I need to share an incident from my distant past. The early 1980s, to be exact, when I was young and carefree and on holiday with a girlfriend in Magaluf. We spent the nights dancing and the days dozing, lying in the sun on the beach by the pool, and on occasion we would partake in some of the water sports that were on offer. It is one of these water adventures that I need to ask for forgiveness for. That's not too many fours next to each other. Father Simon, I was 19 years old, and I have to say very thin. So tiny bikinis were the order of the day. I was so hot day to day that my friend Jess and I spent almost all of our holiday in our swimming garments. As I'm sure you can understand, we wanted to work on our tans. On the particular day in question, I was wearing a particularly tiny green and white striped bikini. One of those... Just steady.
Look at Matt's face, for goodness sake.
Are you all right with this? Are you all right?
One of those...
It was some water.
It was one of those that was held on by ties on each side. After a particularly long night of dancing and a morning of basking in the sun, Jess and I decided that what we needed was to cool down, so we decided to go water skiing.
Okay.
What's going to happen?
I really can't think. Now, this is something that I had never done before, Father Simon, because mainly I don't like deep water, especially the sea. But with the excitement of the holiday and too much sun, these details were forgotten. We arrived at the dock, we were shown the equipment, and after a brief lesson on how to stay standing, Jess and I hopped onto the boat, and I was towed from the beach into the bay. We were soon skiing of a fashion across the water, enjoying the cooling spray which was splashing up over our heads. After a few minutes, I suddenly became very aware of where I was and what I was doing, and was instantly terrified of falling into what I realised was very, very deep water. I took a deep breath and I tightened my grip. The boat took a sudden turn, and the force of the spray increased, shooting up at me and soaking my face and neck. I closed my eyes and held on for dear life. I didn't mind the water. It felt nice to be cooled down in the sun, but I was a little shocked at the force of the spray. The boat straightened up, and we resumed to a slightly lighter jet of water, which was now cooling down my legs. However, something felt different. Something wasn't right.
Oh, yes.
My bikini top was missing.
Oh, no.
So I was now topless with no free hands to cover myself up, and I had no intention of letting go and falling into the water, which I was terrified. So I continued to grip the bar, praying for the ride to finish soon. As I clung onto the bar of the tow rope, I could see Jess waving frantically at me from across the water. She had obviously noticed that I was no longer in possession of my bikini top. I refused to acknowledge her. She was so common, but she kept on shouting. She kept on waving and pointing. And then she started shouting, and I couldn't make out what it was. But from the shock on her face, it was clearly something important.
Oh, no.
Slowly, I risked taking my eyes off the water and the boat for just a second, ignoring the possibility of falling, and I looked down. And there, around my ankles, was a small piece of green and white striped material waving like a small flag. It was the bottoms of my bikini. Now, as if to emphasise this fact, as I watched and the reality dawned on me that I was now completely naked on water skis, the bikini bottom managed to untie itself completely and fly across the water behind me. Determined, however, that I was not going to drop into the water. As I mentioned, I was terrified of the deep. That's what Jess was telling me to do. She wanted me to protect my modesty. Obviously, I held firm, more afraid of the water than the embarrassment of being naked in front of the holidaying crowds on the beach on this beautiful August afternoon. Realising that I wasn't going to let go, Jess persuaded the boat driver to bring the boat into shallow water, much closer to the unsuspecting sunbathers, but in water that was shallow, where she could pass me a towel at last to cover up. So, Father Simon, I am seeking forgiveness for, obviously, causing embarrassment to my friend Jess by refusing to fall into deep water, which is what any sane person would have done, because of my irrational fear of what might be lurking beneath. I seek forgiveness from the boat driver who was forced to give me a longer ride on the water skis because I refused to let go of the bar, but most of all, forgiveness from the people on holiday in Magaluf who were subjected to an extraordinary sight, going backwards and forwards across the bay, thinking, what's going on here, and other things. Anyway, Sophie, thank you very much indeed, and you can kind of see what the issue is there, because obviously everyone, what would do, you just drop into the water and then find that would be the end of the story. But if you have an irrational fear of the deep, you're in a problem. What do you
If
think?
you have an
sister?
irrational fear of the deep water, you shouldn't go water skiing. Number one.
I think
Number
she's
two,
had a lot of sun.
if you're wearing a really skimpy bikini, you shouldn't go water skiing.
Yes, I think she'd had a lot of sun.
Yeah, a lot of sun. I think
And it's thirsty work that lying in the sun.
Yeah, I think Jess probably found it quite funny actually, rather than being embarrassed. And I'm sure the people on the beach really enjoyed it, as I'm sure did the boat driver.
I think they felt for her embarrassment and they wanted it all to finish.
I think there's not much to forgive here, actually. I think Sophie's probably really embarrassed, but that's about it. So you're forgiven, Sophie.
We haven't done water skiing confessions. I don't think that's the first of the water skiing ones that we've had. I don't know whether that's going to be a fruitful area. Anyway, the Venerable Deadly.
It was an accident. That's all it was, and she'd have been bright red all over when she arrived back where she started. So, yeah, an accident. These things happen, don't they? We said that earlier.
I like
that.
that.
These things happen. So, totally forgiven.
I like the fact that she was ignoring her friend because she was so common.
Yes.
Just shouting a lot. Oh,
See,
for
at
heaven's
first,
sake.
I thought, can't you hold onto the bar with one hand and then do something with the... But, of course, you
Well,
need
no,
both hands, though.
You absolutely need both hands.
Yeah.
Brother Matthew.
Yeah, this had all the makings of sort of saucy 70s sitcom, didn't it? It was sort of, oh, there goes my top, oh, it's all a bit crazy. And frankly, having been to Magaluf, they're well used to people in the bath doing the water
you wouldn't
skiing.
want to
Pretty
water
much
ski in there.
par for the course, frankly. Far worse than that in Magaluf. I am going to... Yes.
The voice of experience,
Yes,
ladies and
indeed.
gentlemen.
We've all been there. We've
No, we
all been
haven't.
there. Yes, we have. Nobody, stop rolling your eyes, you lot. We've all
haven't
been
been
there.
there.
Absolutely, yes, we have. I am going to...